Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Thursday, January the 14th. We're going to cover Thursday's 5-game slate, go position by position like we always do. Just before we do get started with the video, guys, please be sure to hit that like button down below. As always, I do appreciate all the likes. If you are new to the channel here, be sure to click the subscribe button as well, and click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You will also get notified every time I do go live. I have been live streaming recently. I'm going to get a consistent live streaming schedule down pretty soon. Right now I just kind of stream whenever I'm able to, but I'm going to get a schedule down, a time down that I'll be streaming every day if I can. So be sure to hit that notification bell. You'll get notified when I go live. You'll get notified when I do upload. I won't be able to go live today for Thursday's slate, but I should be able to on Friday. Should have a live stream up for Friday afternoon for Friday's slate. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at Thursday's 5-gamer. We got another slate where we're going to have a lot of value. Miami, once again, going to have an 8-man rotation. A lot of guys on Miami have been priced up. We're not going to have smash value plays like we did the other day, but still, the same guys that were out Tuesday are going to be out again today. So Miami going to have 8 available bodies. And Houston also going to be another team that's pretty thin. James Harden was obviously traded away from the team, so he's not going to be out there. John Wall has already been ruled out for this game. Eric Gordon is questionable. Daniel House remains out. They have a couple other guys out as well, a couple bench guys out. So Houston's going to be a team that's pretty thin today, especially if Eric Gordon winds up missing. Also, Victor Oladipo was traded, so he is not going to be on the Pacers, which, no TJ Warren, no Oladipo. It's basically going to be the Brogdon show and the Sabonis show for Indiana. So those are kind of going to be the 3 teams we really focus on, especially like Miami and Houston are going to be the two focal points of this slate. Definitely going to be a stars and scrubs slate. So at the top, I think you're going to be able to pay up at point guard if you do choose. Steph Curry at 9,700 is our most expensive option here. I definitely have interest in Curry on the slate. I still don't think he's my top option, though. I do really like Jokic, even though he's expensive. Jokic is always a guy that I'm willing to pay up for right now, just with how much upside he has. Joel Embiid, I do like quite a bit. We saw him have a ton of success in this matchup a couple days ago. It's going to be, Precious Achiuwa, Kelly Olynyk, like Chris Silva. Those are going to be the 3 guys that are actually going to have to defend Joel Embiid here. So he should have a big game once again. Sabonis we talked about with no Warren, no Victor Oladipo. It's going to be Sabonis and Brogdon running all the Pacers offense. So Sabonis looks like a good pay-up option. Can never go wrong with Damian Lillard. Brogdon I like as well. So there's a lot of other pay-up options I do like, but Curry is definitely viable. Between Curry or Lillard, I think I'd give the edge to Curry. Now, Damian Lillard has been playing much better recently. He's been showing a lot more upside. He's been really aggressive, taking a ton of shots, but I think Curry is a guy that, we know what we're going to get from Steph Curry. As long as the game is close, we're going to get 36 to 38 minutes. The offense is going to run through Curry. I know he's had some really bad games recently, but I would expect him to bounce back at some point. Denver, I would say, is not the best matchup overall, but if this game could stay close, you could see big games from Steph Curry and a guy like Nikola Jokic. I could definitely see playing lineups with both those guys together. Shouldn't be too hard either, given the value that we already have today. So I do like Curry. I think I'd give him the slight edge over Lillard at the top. Malcolm Brogdon, though, is a guy I like a lot in the mid-range, 8,300. Like I said earlier, with no Victor Oladipo, no TJ Warren, it's just going to be Brogdon and Sabonis doing everything for the Pacers. You should see big games from both those guys. It's a great matchup against Portland. Portland playing at a pretty fast pace this year. I believe they are top 10 in pace. They're not a good defensive team either. Great spot for Malcolm Brogdon. I like him a lot at 8,300. I think in that 8K range between him, Ben Simmons, McCollum, Van Vliet, Lowry, definitely give me Malcolm Brogdon over all those guys. I do like Brogdon a lot at point guard. I think he definitely stands out at this position. In the 7K range, Dejounte Murray, I've kind of been playing recently with DeRozan out, and it hasn't really been going well. DeRozan might play today. He's listed as questionable right now. If DeRozan comes back, probably can't go to Murray at 7,500. Maybe if DeRozan's out again, you could consider him, but not my favorite play overall. LaMelo Ball was a huge disappointment on Wednesday's slate. He had a really bad game. Only played 25 minutes, just 19 DraftKings points. Gordon Hayward did get hurt in Wednesday's game, and he does have a chance to miss this one. If Gordon Hayward winds up out, I think that is a pretty big boost for LaMelo Ball. Hayward's one of the highest usage players on this Hornets offense, so getting him off the floor is really going to benefit a lot of guys, and Ball would be one of those guys that benefits. At 7,600, his price has gotten to a point where he's not a guy that I'm trying to jam into my lineups, but I still think he is viable, especially if Gordon Hayward is forced to sit out today. But Tyler Hero, he's the one guy that really stands out in the 7K range. 7,300 on DK, I still think is a little bit too cheap. $26 on Yahoo, he still looks way too cheap over there as well. So we're basically getting the same situation that we got on Tuesday. All these guys are going to be out for Miami. You know, Jimmy Butler, Dragic, Bam, all those guys are going to be out once again. We saw Hero kind of get off to a really slow start Tuesday, but then he kind of heated up in the second half, finished with 49 DraftKings points in 39 minutes. You know, overtime definitely helped a little bit, but the usage, the opportunity, it was there for Tyler Hero like we expected. He took 26 shots. He had 34 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and 1 block. I mean, Hero's going to be a guy that has 45, 50-point upside as long as this game can stay close. And even if it does blow out, like, Hero might still play in a blowout because, you know, the Heat, they only have 8 players. It's not like, and we know, like, Iguodala's probably not playing in a blowout. You know, they have 3 guys off the bench, Silva, Max Struss. You know, those guys will probably play in a blowout, but it's possible that Hero's out there still chucking even if they're losing by 30 points just because they have no other players to go to. So I feel very confident in Tyler Hero. His price tag, it came up, but it did not come up enough in my opinion. With Bam, Dragic, Butler, with all those guys out, Hero should be like 8K, 8,500. We are still getting a pretty good discount on him. So I still think Tyler Hero looks like a really good option at 7,300. I like him a ton. Jamal Murray, his prices come way down. He's been really bad lately, but you know, a good matchup here against the Warriors. The Warriors are playing at a really fast pace this year. Obviously, with Steph Curry back in the lineup, that's going to be one of the reasons why. It is a good matchup for Murray at 6,900. You know, I think if you want to buy low on him, you know, if he was ever going to finally go off, I feel like this could be the game where he finally puts up a big game. But still, I feel a lot better about Hero if I can get to Hero. You know, Devontae Graham's price I think is fine, 6K. This is a guy that has 35, 40-point upside basically every night. You know, he had 29 DK points on Wednesday night. If Gordon Hayward were to sit, I would feel a lot more confident in guys like LaMelo, Devontae Graham, even Terry Rozier. All those guys would get little boost if Hayward was forced to miss this game. So Graham could be viable at 6K in that mid-range. Tyrese Maxey started still last game, played 36 minutes, had 33 DK points. I'm pretty sure like Curry, Milton, I think Milton might be probable. Last I saw, let me check that real quick. I think I saw Milton was probable, but let me check. Yeah, he's been upgraded to probable. So Milton is expected back. Okay, probably not. You know, Maxey's probably not going to be a guy I look to then. You know, with Milton back, that really does kind of hurt Maxey. His minutes are going to be hard to predict now that Milton is expected to play. So probably going to be off him. Aaron Holiday had a really big game last game off the bench. I could see him having another big game just because they really have no other offensive like scores besides Sabonis and Brogdon. With no Oladipo, with no Warren, I mean somebody else is going to have to produce. And we saw Holiday have a really good game, 16 points, 12 assists. Also had 2 rebounds and 2 steals. You know, I don't think we're going to get 40 DraftKings points again from Aaron Holiday, but he could definitely play 28 to 30 minutes off the bench, give you 30 plus DK points. Good matchup against Portland. I don't mind him at 4,500 if you're looking for a cheaper option at point guard. Then you got like the Miami guys. You got Gabe Vincent, who started last game, which was kind of surprising. I thought they were going to start Iguodala, but they chose to start Gabe Vincent, and he played a ton of minutes. He played 36 minutes, took 20 shots, had 36 DraftKings points. I'm assuming Gabe Vincent starts again, and if he does, for 4,200, he looks like a pretty good value. His price tag came up, obviously, but still at 4,200, if we're going to get over 30 minutes from Gabe Vincent, definitely in play as a cheap option on this slate for sure if you're looking for someone under 4K. But yeah, I think that's it for point guard. Let's go ahead and move on to shooting guard now. So at the shooting guard position, you got CJ McCollum here, 8,400. You know, I don't mind McCollum on the slate, but I still think I'd rather play like Malcolm Brogdon over him. I'd rather save salary and play Tyler Hero. Like Van Vliet, McCollum, they're fine pay-up options, but you know, I think this mid-range, we can look to some guys here. Like if Gordon Hayward's out, I do have interest in Terry Rozier at 6,200. Danny Green had a massive game last game. He had 61 DraftKings points in 50 minutes. There's no shot I'm playing Danny Green today at 5,700. Like, I hope people play Danny Green and chase this game, because if you play Danny Green today, I mean, you should probably quit NBA DFS. Just don't play Danny Green. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you, don't play him, and then when he scores 40 DraftKings points, you can come yell at my face. But I feel pretty confident saying Danny Green is a god-awful play at 5,700. But other guys we could look to at shooting guard, you know, Duncan Robinson, his price tag came up as well. But with all these guys out, I mean, I still like Duncan Robinson. He played a ton of minutes. He played 46 minutes in the overtime game, had 36 DraftKings points. He took 18 shots, 14 threes. Like, We know what Duncan Robinson's going to do. He's going to knock down threes. He's going to take a ton of shots. He's obviously not going to contribute much with peripherals, but all he needs to do is just get hot from the field, and we know Duncan Robinson is an excellent shooter. So at 5,500, he is still viable for me on this slate. Nowhere near as good of an option as last slate when he was 4,800, but still definitely in play at 5,500. I mean, basically all these Miami guys are in play for me just because they're just going to have to play minutes because they only have 8 guys. Probably like Max Strus, he's probably the one guy that I'm not going to look to from Miami, but even Chris Silva I'd be fine playing. Even, Iguodala I'd be fine going back to. Like all, basically 7, 8 of those Miami guys are in play for me, and, Robinson obviously is one of them that I do have interest in. Eric Gordon, this will be a big injury to watch for Thursday's slate. So with John Wall out and with James Harden obviously no longer on the team, I'm assuming that Eric Gordon would start and would get a very heavy role if he were to play today. Now, this will be something to monitor. He was questionable on their last game on Tuesday, and he did wind up playing. My best guess is that Gordon plays, but this will just be something to monitor. If he does play, he becomes a great option at 5,100. We've seen in past years whenever, Harden misses games, whenever Westbrook were to miss games, like Gordon definitely has upside with those guys off the floor. He should be like the primary ball handler. He's a guy that can score. He can knock down threes. He can, he can be good for DFS when he gets the opportunity, especially when he gets the usage. And his usage would see a massive spike for this game, given Harden and Wall are both out. So I do like Eric Gordon a lot. I think he's a really good option at 5,100 if he does play. Under 5K, though, Aaron Holiday you could look to here. Gabe Vincent you could look to here. We got to talk about some of the guys from Houston, though, because there are definitely some value plays from Houston that I like. So first off, Ben McLemore is 3,400. I'm assuming that he gets big minutes even if Eric Gordon plays. I guess that Ben McLemore probably starts with no John Wall. I would assume that they maybe, I don't know who they're going to start at point guard with John Wall out. They'd probably start Sterling Brown. I do like Sterling Brown a lot. Even if McLemore comes off the bench, though, I still think he gets probably 25 to 28 minutes, maybe even more. I mean, they're missing their 2 starting guards, so it could be Brown starting at point guard, McLemore starting at shooting guard. I like him a lot at 3,400. This isn't a guy that I normally love to play for DFS because he's kind of scoring dependent, but he should have all the opportunity in the world here to just get up as many shots as he wants. They just have no other scores, like outside of Christian Wood, who's going to basically be the entire offense for Houston in this game. I mean, it's going to be guys like Ben McLemore, Sterling Brown. Those are going to be the guys that, you're looking to get shots up. So I like McLemore a ton. I think he's a great value at 3,400. Should play a ton of minutes. Definitely looks like a solid value play on DK. And I do like him on Yahoo as well. There are some other values I like over there, but Ben McLemore definitely in play on both sites. But do want to talk about Sterling Brown. So I think Sterling Brown is shooting guard eligible, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he is shooting guard eligible, and he is minimum salary. He looks like a top value play today with John Wall and Harden both out. So I am assuming that Sterling Brown does start here, and if he starts, I have to guess he probably plays at least 30 minutes. I mean, we've seen even, in their games recently, Brown's been in the rotation getting like 18 to 20 minutes off the bench. Now that Harden and Wall are both out for this game, you should expect probably 30-plus minutes from Sterling Brown. He's always been someone that can be productive when he does get minutes. He can score. He can get you some rebounds. He can definitely get assists as well. I would assume that he's probably the primary ball handler here if Eric Gordon does not play. If Eric Gordon plays, then maybe Eric Gordon will start at point guard. But regardless, I think Sterling Brown's a great value. 3K, stone minimum on Draftkings, shooting guard and small forward eligibility, or shooting guard and small forward eligible. I like him a lot on the slate. He looks like a top value, and he's the guy that I do prefer on Yahoo. Between him and McLemore, I think I do give the edge to Sterling Brown, but both guys are great plays. Both guys are minimum salary, shooting guard. Both guys are really good values over on Yahoo. But yeah, Houston's going to be a team that we definitely look to for value today, just given that Harden is no longer on the team and John Wall's out. They're just so thin in the backcourt. These cheap guys are going to have to play a ton of minutes and should easily be able to pay off their price point. Plus, it is a really good matchup against San Antonio. San Antonio, nowhere near as good defensively as they used to be. Definitely a team you can pick on, with other guys or with the opposing team because they're a bad defensive team. They've been playing pretty fast this year as well. I do like these Houston guys a lot. I think they're really, really good values today. But moving on to small forward, at the top here, like Ben Simmons, I'm not the biggest fan of at 8,700. I think he's just too expensive for me. DeRozan, if he plays, I think is viable at 8K, but that'll just have to be news that we wait and see on. Tobias Harris, I don't think is expected to play. Oh, Tobias Harris is probable, so yeah, that definitely throws a wrench into things with Philly. I don't think really any of these Philly guys look great outside of Embiid now. I thought Harris was going to be out again, but he's expected to play. So like with Harris back, with Milton back, Like, I just don't really want to consider any of those other guys that we've been playing, except, Embiid, I think you can definitely still play. But really, that's it outside of Philly. So, other small forwards, like Gordon Hayward will be a big injury to watch. He got hurt on Wednesday. He was not able to return. My best guess is that, it's a back-to-back. I assume Gordon Hayward probably is going to be out today, but, that would just be something that we do have to monitor. If he plays, I don't love him. 7,800 against Toronto, that's just not a price tag, not a matchup that I really love to target. So taking a look at other small forwards, like Keldon Johnson, he's been really disappointing lately, but I do like this matchup a lot against Houston. Should be a pretty fast-paced game. Should see a lot of points scored here. We know we're going to get big minutes from Keldon Johnson. He's a guy that, has shown he can be productive this year when he does get minutes. I still think he's going to be pretty inconsistent, but he definitely is someone that has upside. I don't mind him at 6,100 as a mid-range option at small forward. Like, nothing else really stands out besides, like, Eric Gordon, who's obviously a great play today. If he plays, we'll have to keep an eye on that. If Gordon Hayward is out, I'm not sure who would start. It would probably be Miles Bridges. So if Hayward sits, Miles Bridges, 4,700, if he were to enter the starting lineup, he would definitely be a value guy that we could consider. Bridges, one of those guys you don't really know what you're going to get from him. Like, he could play 30 minutes and score 35 fantasy points. He could play 30 minutes and score 15 fantasy points. Like, he definitely has a low floor, but he does have a high ceiling. He's shown some upside at times this year. At 4,700, if he winds up starting, I would assume he gets probably over 30 minutes with Hayward out. If Hayward were to be out, definitely would be a value play that we could consider at small forward. But like Iguodala, I still think is viable. He did not get a ton of minutes. He only played 22 minutes last game, but he was still productive with 25 DraftKings points. I said it in my video that I did expect Iguodala to be way more productive on a point per minute basis last game than he was, than he's basically been all season. Just with all these guys out for Miami, with all this usage out, Iguodala should have to do something, and he was able to do that. He gave you a little bit of everything, which is what he does. He's going to give you probably 6 to 8 points, maybe more. He's probably going to give you 5-6 rebounds, 7-8 assists. Like, I'm not saying he's going to triple-double, but he could definitely give you like 7-8 of each category, and that could be good at 4K. If you get 30 DraftKings points from Iguodala, like, that's pretty good value. I don't think he's going to play a ton of minutes, but he should still have to play probably 23, 24 minutes. And at 4K, with all these guys out from Miami, he is definitely viable on this slate for sure. Still don't mind Iguodala. I think he is a cheap option you can consider as small forward, but that's probably it for this position. Did want to mention David Nwaba. With no Harden, with no Wall, I think Nwaba benefits as well at 3,200. He is definitely viable. Obviously, you can play Sterling Brown at small forward, who I like a lot as well. But yeah, I think that's probably it for this position. So let's go ahead and move on to power forward now. So at power forward at the top here, love Sabonis at the top. I think he's a great pay-up option on this slate. Like I said earlier, with no Oladipo, with no Warren, it's going to be Brogdon, Sabonis doing everything for Indiana here. Great matchup against Portland. Portland's a bad defensive team. They play at a fast pace. I do like Sabonis a ton at power forward. I think he's a great pay-up option at the top of this position. Pascal Siakam at 8,500. I really like that matchup against Charlotte. I don't know if I can pay 8,500 for Siakam though, when you can get Sabonis for just 1,000 more. But since they moved Siakam to center, since he's been their starting center, he has been way more productive. We've basically seen him start at center like their last 3 games and 51, 44, 58 DraftKings points. Like, he is definitely going to be productive if they continue to start him at center. His rebounding numbers should see a spike. He's just a guy that has a lot of upside. He triple-doubled last game. Like, Siakam still has 50-plus point upside. I know the price tag's coming up, but still a good matchup. Definitely viable, between like Sabonis, Siakam, DeRozan, Harris, Hayward, like these guys. I mean, I would definitely prefer Sabonis and Siakam over all the guys priced below them. So if I'm paying up at power forward, it's for sure going to be those top 2 guys over, some of these other mid-range options. Aldridge, though, I still don't mind, especially if DeRozan's out. You could definitely look to Aldridge at 6,700. Chris Boucher, I don't know what the Raptors are going to do with Boucher. Like, he's been so good off the bench. I don't know why they don't start him. Last 3 games, 29, 24, 32 minutes off the bench, 49, 37, and 40 DraftKings points. I think at some point we're going to see Chris Boucher in the starting lineup. I don't know when they're going to do it. It could be here. It could be later down the road. This guy's been playing so well that you need to start him at some point. Either way, though, I think he's going to get pretty big minutes off the bench, whether he starts. Whether he starts or comes off the bench, I think the minutes will still be there, especially with how well he's been playing. I think 26, 28 minutes seems likely, if not more than that. It's a great matchup against the Hornets. Like, Boucher, even at 6,500, is someone I don't mind paying this price tag for him because he is such a productive player on a point per minute basis, can score, can rebound, can block shots. definitely gives you 45, 50 point upside when he's playing close to 30 minutes. So I love Boucher. I think he's a great play at 6,500. Definitely stands out at power forward. Kelly Olynyk I like a lot as well. I think you get a little bit more upside from Boucher, but Kelly Olynyk may be a bit safer. I think Olynyk's minutes are obviously way more secure. The fact that Miami only has 8 available players, Olynyk's going to have to play a ton of minutes. He played 45 last game in overtime. Probably going to play 36 to 38 today if this game is close. If not, even more than that. Only had 37 DraftKings points last game, which feels like, not that much given he played 45 minutes. Olynyk should be very productive when he's on the floor. He's a guy that has always been productive, and with all these high usage players out from Miami, I expect another solid game from Olynyk. Even at 6,400, I still think he looks like a really good option. I do like him a lot on Yahoo. He is really affordable over there. He still stands out a ton on Yahoo, only $19. He's cheaper than Draymond. He's cheaper than Keldon Johnson. He's cheaper than PJ Washington. I think Olynyk, $19 on Yahoo, looks like a great play. Definitely like him a ton over there. And even on DraftKings at 6,400, I think Olynyk looks like a great play on DraftKings as well. But other power forwards, and if we're talking about value plays here, if we're looking to go cheap, Miles Bridges, if Hayward's out and Bridges starts, he could be viable. Precious Achiuwa, I still do like a lot. Achiuwa played a ton of minutes, 36 minutes last game, had 39 DraftKings points. Even though his price is up to 4,400, you could argue that that's still too low of a price point given he's going to play over 30 minutes. Even, he might even play more. If this game blows out, I still expect Precious Achiuwa to be out there in a blowout. So I feel very confident in him, even at 4,400. He's a very productive player when he gets minutes. He's been a fantasy point per minute player this year. I like him a lot, even at 4,400. Even though the price tag came up, I still think, Precious Achiuwa looks like a great value once again. Definitely a guy you could look to for cheap at the power forward position. Iguodala we talked about, you could play at 4K. Really, though, I think that's kind of it for power forward. I think we talked about all the viable plays here. So let's go ahead and move on to center now. Center has a lot of guys that I like today, especially starting off at the top. Nikola Jokic, I think, is probably one of the best pay-up options on this slate. I know he's really expensive, but the matchup is excellent against the Warriors. Even at 11K on DK, even at $52 on Yahoo, still looks like one of the best pay-up options. We talked about it earlier. The Warriors playing at a very fast pace this year. They're like top 3, top 2 in pace this season. They're not the best defensive team overall. With Draymond now healthy, their defense is way better than you would think, but still a team that you can really attack down low. I expect a big game from Jokic. We know this is a guy that's just so productive on a point-per-minute basis, can give you a triple-double basically any night. He can do everything, can score, can rebound, can get assists, he can get defensive stats. Even at 11K, Jokic has 50, 60, or he's got like a 50-point floor, it feels like. Even on his bad games, you're still getting 45, 50 points from Jokic, and we know on his good games, you can get 65, 70 points from him. So in a matchup against the Warriors, a fast-paced game, or at least a pace-up spot, I should say, Jokic looks like a great option even at 11K. There's so much value today that it should be very easy to pay up for him, and he's always a guy that I'm trying to pay up for. Joel Embiid I like a lot as well. I would still have Jokic ranked ahead of him, but we saw Embiid have a ton of success in this matchup, just a couple days ago. Like I said earlier, it's going to be like Precious Achiuwa, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Silva. Those are going to be the 3 guys that are guarding Embiid. So that's just, those guys don't really stand a chance against him. He should absolutely go off once again. With Tobias Harris coming back, with Shake Milton coming back, the usage, it'll go a little bit, it'll go down for Embiid, but he's still, the main guy on this Philly team. He's still the highest usage player on this team overall. At 10K, I still like him a ton on this slate, especially with all the value that we do have. Should be very easy to fit him in, but Christian Wood, he is someone I want to talk about. So with John Wall out, with James Harden no longer on the team, it's going to be the Christian Wood show for tonight. He should dominate the usage. He is a top play for me. 7,700 on DK honestly feels too cheap. $34 on Yahoo, that feels too cheap as well. Wood has always been a productive player when he gets minutes, and with this Rockets team this year, he's playing massive minutes on a nightly basis. If the game is close, you're getting 34, 36 minutes from Christian Wood. With Boogie back there behind him, backing him up, maybe he's not going to play as many minutes as you would want. He's not going to get 40 minutes, but you'll still get 32 to 34 minutes from Christian Wood. And maybe with no Wall and Harden, maybe they elect to play Wood and Boogie alongside each other just because, they need offense. They don't really have a ton of offense outside of Christian Wood and Boogie, I guess. So maybe we do see 36, 38 minutes from Christian Wood. I don't really know, but even in 32 to 34 minutes, the usage, it's going to be through the roof. He's going to basically be the entire offense for Houston tonight. And he's a guy that when he needs to handle a heavy workload, he can do it. And we saw that at the beginning of the year. We saw that when he was with Detroit last season. This is a guy that just has massive upside. I like him a ton here against the Spurs. Good matchup. Spurs are a bad defensive team. They've been playing pretty fast this year. Love Christian Wood on the slate. I think he is a top option and should dominate the usage tonight for Houston, given Wall and Harden are both out. But other centers, Chris Boucher, Kelly Olynyk, guys I like in the mid-range you could look to. Yusuf Nurkic I want to talk about. So his price has come way down on DraftKings. He's down to $5,300. Like $5,300 for Yusuf Nurkic. I mean, that is way, way too cheap. I know he's not been good this year. He's definitely not been the same player that he was last season, but this is still a guy that has massive upside. You know, I maybe would be a little bit worried that it is a back-to-back, and he was injured. He did play Wednesday, even though he was questionable. He did wind up playing. They could rest him here. We don't really know, but assuming Nurkic doesn't get hurt Wednesday, assuming he plays his full minutes Wednesday, and he's full go here Thursday, even on the back-to-back, Nurkic is way too cheap, man. The only issue is that, I really like Jokic. I really like Christian Wood, Kelly Olynyk, Chris Boucher. Those guys look like great center options. Like, there's so many good center plays today. You're going to have to, kind of make a tough decision. If you play a lot of lineups, then I would definitely recommend just getting exposure to a lot of these guys. If you're only playing one lineup, that makes it very tough, because I really like Jokic and I really like Wood. Obviously, if you're playing those two guys, then you can't play Nurkic, but Nurkic does look like a great option at $5,300. He is definitely way, way too cheap on DraftKings. He even with his struggles this year, he should not be $5,300. So I did want to mention Nurkic, But in terms of value under 5K, Achua we talked about, I still think is a great value at $4,400. Chris Silva I actually do like as a value for tournaments for low ownership. He was very, very low owned on the last slate, and he was really productive in limited minutes. He only played 17 minutes. He fouled out in 17 minutes. Obviously, in the same matchup against Philly, going up against Embiid, like Chris Silva could foul out in 17 minutes again, but I would assume that if he's not in foul trouble, we should probably get more than 17 minutes. We'd probably get like 22, 24 minutes from Chris Silva, and he's always been a very productive player when he gets minutes. So if we're going to get mid-20s, low-20s minutes from Silva, like he has 30-plus point upside for sure. At $3,500 in tournaments, he's going to be unowned. He was like 1% owned on the last slate. He'll probably be 2% owned again today. I do like Chris Silva quite a bit as a value play in tournaments. I think he makes plenty of sense as a low-owned option, but that's really it for center. Like, Bol started last game, but he didn't really do anything. He played 16 minutes, had 8 fantasy points. If Gary Harris is out again and Bol starts, I still probably won't be playing him. So, yeah, I think that's it for center, guys. I think we broke everything down. I hope you did enjoy the video. I do appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed, hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit the subscribe button as well. Be sure to click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You'll never miss out on my new videos, and you also will get notified every time I do go live. I do plan on getting a live stream schedule very soon. Right now, I just kind of stream whenever I'm able to, but probably next week or the week after, I'll have a schedule down and a time frame down that I'll be streaming at least every day, Monday through Friday, if not on the weekends as well. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Best of luck tonight. Thanks for watching. Good luck. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Peace.